What you see before you is a precious little piece of my childhood that I never plan to ever get rid of. And that is the main five Dragon Ball GBA games that tell you a rough, streamlined story from the start to the end of the GT era. Now, this isn't canon, but it's a very fun game, and we'll get to why it's here on this little list here. But these four tell you the main thing up to Boo, you know. This comes from the Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. Excuse me. This goes from the start of the Pilaf arc all the way to the end of the King Piccolo arc. It skips the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, which I feel is it. I feel that's a disservice. I think that you could have done the Tenkaichi Budokai arc. You could have had 2 extra playable characters in the combat minigame, which is an adult Goku and an adult Piccolo, and you could have had just a third tournament arc where you can use adult Goku, and he fights, 3 extra playable characters. He fights Chi-Chi in round 1, then he fights Tien in round 2, and then he fights Piccolo in round 3. It would have been a fun little thing. You could have added that, but they didn't. They ended it at King Piccolo. Then you got the Legacy of Goku here, which goes all the way from the start of Z all the way to the end of Frieza. Now, the gameplay in this is pretty bad. This is the first one that came out in regards to release order. I think if we go release order, we have this, and then this. That's release order from here to here, right? So that means this would be the earliest one. This would be the first one that they made, and naturally that means the gameplay would be the oldest. It would be the oldest, it would be the most rough around the edges, and it shows! The music is great. I love the music in this game. It's awesome. If you want to look it up on Google, YouTube, whatever. It's awesome. It's great music. Great music! My main recommendations is the Namekian Temple music. The Namekian Temple music is very good. It's like elevator jazz, man. It's awesome. But the combat's terrible. It's terrible. You got a basic single punch animation when you press, I think it's the A button. And then when you press the B button, he's got a charge key attack, and then he unlocks 2 extra moves, which is the Solar Flare and the Kamehameha. Both of them can be charged up for stronger effects. If you charge up the Solar Flare, the stun effect on anybody in range lasts longer. If you charge up your Kamehameha, naturally the beam gets bigger. It's fine, but I will say that this is the only game that incorporates flight to the actual levels. Now, there's flight in these two, but they're like traveling around the world map. You're not really using it on the actual levels that you find. In this one, if you press, I believe it was the L button, if you press the L button, Goku could fly using a fly key meter to fly through certain places on the map. You could fly over bodies of water, otherwise you wouldn't have been able to go through on foot. You could fly over forests, you could fly over hills, you could fly over mountains, and you could pass through all that stuff and find hidden items and all sorts of goodies for that. There's a bunch of side quests that you can do in here that none of them take place in the story. None of them aren't. But the fact that they're there to fill up the content of the game, because they don't really have too much to do otherwise, is great. I love the side quests in this. If I were to say that if this was ever remade, I want you to keep the side quests, but expand upon them. Add more of them. Make there more to do, more people to talk to, more side quests to do, hunting missions, whatever. Just add that in there and give us some extra content. And that would have made it very fun. And then I would probably say give us more playable characters. Since this takes place up to, from the start of Z all the way to the end of Frieza, you can have 5 main playable characters, because there are 5 main characters of that first half of Z. You got Goku, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo, and Vegeta. I would say that those would be your main characters. I would say you start out with Goku, then Piccolo becomes unlocked, and then Gohan becomes unlocked, and then Krillin becomes unlocked, and then finally when you get onto Namek, Vegeta becomes unlocked. And it would have been a fun game. It would have been fun if you used this type of gameplay, which we're coming into next. The gameplay in this one is so much better. The music, they take both from this one and this one. They've used the Bruce Faulkner soundtrack from the animation show for the American serialization. And I liked it. I love the Bruce Faulkner soundtrack. I'm just gonna go around and say it. I love the Kikuchi soundtrack as well. Kikuchi has a lot of great stuff, but he ends up there's a lot of repeated tracks throughout the anime because he doesn't really make too much original music for the anime. He usually the music that you hear in the anime is usually drawn from the movies. He makes new stuff for the movies, and then they take that music and they put it into the show. So if you recognize the track, oh, I heard that from World's Strongest. It's from that. It's not from the Freezer arc, but it's from World's. It's just. But that's how it is. But with this, Bruce Faulkner made music specifically for certain moments throughout the show, and that I felt was really nice. You know, I felt that was really nice. There's themes that are made for these moments, that are made for these characters, instead of stuff that was pulled from a movie that might have been Garlic Jr.'s main theme that now gets to be played for this moment in the show instead. And it's like, well, there are certain themes that are made for these characters. There's Piccolo's theme that you heard in the original series. Piccolo's theme would be replayed more often and often with certain different variations in tone and speed and tempo and all that stuff. And King Piccolo's theme in Kikuchi score is amazing, really good. I would say it's so much better than the Bruce Faulkner Piccolo theme. But there are good and bad on both sides. But back to this. This is using the Bruce Faulkner soundtrack. Alright, this is using Bruce Faulkner. I believe the composer who rearranged Bruce Faulkner's music, his name is Janis Brown. So, I think it's Janis Brown. But it's very good music. What else here? The combat is so much better. You got 3 different types of animations for combat. A left hand punch, a right hand punch, and a kick. Oh, it's so much better! And you have longer range for your combat melee attacks. This one is really short range, and it was really poor. This one's a bit better. This one's a lot better. Feels more like an adventure game. This one's an adventure game, but this one just feels like an adventure game that feels like it was released at the time it was. This feels like this could have been released in like the mid-90s. This feels like it was released in the year it was released, you know? But, I digress. The combat was very fun. The, key attacks, I believe you get 2 special attacks and a key blast, and you get a transformation. So, like, for example, with Goku, you get your key attack, you get your Kamehameha, and you get your Spirit Bomb. Spirit Bomb is pretty cool. What else? Oh, yeah, you get a charge melee attack. All 5 of the main characters, with the exception of Hercule, who is the 6th bonus character, have a charge melee attack. For example, if you could punch with A, if you hold down A, your character would charge up an attack. And then when you release the A button, they would release their charge melee attack, which is unique for all 5 characters, which I thought was really nice to do. For example, I believe Gohan gets a spin kick, Piccolo gets the roundhouse punch, Vegeta gets a jump kick, flying jump kick, I think. Trunks gets his sword slashy slash, and Goku has a flurry punch. Oh wait, no, Vegeta gets a cross chop. Okay, so there's that. That's what it is. It's very fun. It was very fun to do. Every character has unique abilities, and you get, there's less side quests, regrettably. There's less side quests. Although it's incorporated into the game, there are, I believe, 25 golden capsules that you have to collect to unlock Hercule at the end of the game. And they're scattered throughout the level. Some of them are behind side quests. Others you can just pick up when you're exploring maps. And I liked that. I thought that was fine, but I really wish you could have added a little bit more side quests like this one did. You know, that would have made me having more to do in the game other than just the story. But it's fine. It's fine. You could collect you could do the side quests with the golden capsules at any time. I just did it as I got to them during the story, because that's the best way to do it. This takes place from the Trunks arc, after the Frieza saga, all the way to the end of the Cell games. You have 5 playable characters. You got Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta, and future Trunks. All 5 of them have a transformation. Piccolo just takes off his cape and turban. They call that the Super Namek transformation. And everybody else has their Super Saiyan transformation. It's very fun. Piccolo's very fun to use. Sadly, he's not playable in the sequel. In the sequel, the gameplay is pretty much the same here, but they drop some things, so they add some things. For the things that they dropped the charge melee attack, which I think was a bad move. I think that was a bad decision. They should not have done that. What they added, though, was that you could level up your attacks. For example, Goku's Kamehameha, you could level it up to like a level 2 or a level 3, and then at the max level, the animation changes, the beam gets bigger, but it costs more ki to use, so you have to keep track of that. You keep track of your level, keep track of all that stuff. The higher your ki stat is, you get 3 stats. You get your strength, physical attack, your ki attack, and then your defense. Your HP levels up, it increases as you level up too. But you can manipulate your stats. In this one, the stats increased automatically. You didn't get to choose which stats you allocate your points in. In this one, you do get to modify which stats you get to allocate into. So if you want to say put all of your stats into strength, you could do that. If you want to put them all into defense, you could do that. If you want to put them all into ki, you could do that. But there's a lot of customization in this that I think is both good and bad. The bad part, I would say, is that there are a lot of items that you can equip, like, say, armor and things of that nature. And I like a lot of the nods. You could find the Bad Man shirt, you could find Saiyan armor, you could find Goku's training gi, all that stuff, and you can equip it, and it would modify your stats a little bit. It might increase your defense, it might increase your attack, it might slow you down, but give you more experience when you kill things. But there's a lot of ways to modify the gameplay, but I feel that it kind of makes you a little bit too overpowered. The monsters in this game are a little bit too easy to kill, if that makes sense. For example, if you reached, say, level 140 for your Super Boo battle with Gohan, which is what he has to be in order to take that mission on. Like the Ultimate Gohan versus the Super Boo part of the story. There is a level 140 door that is in that map that you go to with Gohan. He has to reach level 140 to be able to pass that door to go to the next story segment. They did this in this game too. They would have level doors. They're locked until your character reaches a certain level, and then they could break that door down. But in this one, it was mostly for side areas, sometimes for story areas, but mostly for side areas. In this one, it was mostly for story areas. In this one, it was mostly you would use that to go through story. That would be how they arbitrarily locked you off. They would give you a level to play through. You gotta kill some stuff, you gotta level up, and then you can break the door down and do the next story segment. And I feel that was a major disservice to the game. And this one, they didn't really need to do that all that much. There were some of them. There were some level doors, but they're not too many, numerous, or annoying, and all that crap. You could just play the game normally and you would be ready to do it at any time, right? But with this, sadly, it was everywhere. It was arbitrary, and it was annoying. The combat was fun, but it was very scantily different from this, but I would say that the combat in this one is actually superior in many ways. This one kind of feels less. There's less you could do, but it feels more RPG-ish. But it feels like they needed some more time to work out the kinks, because by the time you're like level 140 and you equip your armor and your stuff onto your character, you break down the level 140 door with Gohan, you could streamline Super Boo immediately. You could defeat him immediately. He is nothing, man. He ain't worth nothing. And while that did happen, the story Gohan beat the crap out of him. You can also beat the crap out of Boo tanks with Gohan just as easily. It's just the enemies are not really scaled to your character's level / plus the armor that you can equip. So the easy mode is way too easy mode. Though this one does have like a cheat code. This one here. This has an easy mode cheat code that you could put in. It's up, down, left, right, BA. Then you would lock God mode, where you never die, you won't take any damage, you can just streamline through the game in like 2-3 hours. either way, I would say all three of these games are great. There's some side quests in this. Let's talk about that. There's the Z Fighter exhibits and then the Hercule exhibits. These exhibits are just little items that are scattered throughout the level. They're either in treasure boxes, they're either at the end of bonus levels, they're just hidden throughout the levels. I don't believe there's too many side quests, like characters you could talk to and do some story that way. You can unlock some of the Z Fighter exhibits through the story, or you can go to side areas. You could even buy them in shops. Either way, you collect them all, and then you can unlock the ability to fuse as Gogeta. They incorporate 2 movies into this one. This one incorporated the Cooler movie. This one incorporates Janemba and Broly, Second Coming. Sad to say, I kind of wish that Broly was in this one, the first Broly, because that would have fit into the timeline and all that. But this one has the Broly Second Coming, right? And you don't really know why he's there. He's just there to be beaten up by Goten and Trunks, and that's whatever. But I'm glad he's there at the very least. I'm glad he's there, because there's extra stuff to do, right? Whatever. So you do that, then you can fuse into Gogeta with Goku and Vegeta. You can fuse into Gogeta, and that's fine. But I would say these are in need of a remake. These 2 are fine as is, but if you're going to remake them, I'd bundle all 3 of them together into a big story. Really good stuff. I would keep the graphics, though. Like, on the level of these 2, I would keep the graphics on this level. I wouldn't update them to full 3D. I wouldn't say that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot that's on the PlayStation 4 is I would say it's faithful, though, but there's a lot of DLC garbage in there. There's a lot of that stuff in there in that game, man. Oh, there's a lot of bonus stories. There's a lot of extra stuff. Epilogues. This is movie. At least with these, you get the whole game in a single purchase. But I digress. If they were ever going to, I would say you should remake this. I would say that. If you remake this, combine all 3 into a single big Legacy of Goku game, update the gameplay, keep the side quests, add more to do, add more playable characters, it would have been fun, man. These were so much fun back in the day, man. Let's talk about these 2 real quick before we close up shop. This is not like these. These are not action RPGs. This is more in vein to, say, the Castlevania and Metroid games. They are side-scroller exploration type of games. You can go backwards, you can go forwards, you can go through new rooms, to new levels. You play mainly as Goku for the story for that level. Then once you beat the story, you could go through it again as Krillin. There is a mini-game type of thing. There's a second gameplay mode, rather. And this second gameplay mode is a fighting game, really. You could play as Goku, Krillin, Tien, Master Roshi as Jackie Chun, Grandpa Gohan, King Piccolo, and Tao Pai Pai. I think that's just 7, but if there's 8, then the 8th one is Cyborg Tao. But either way, that's your playable characters. I don't think Nam is playable, but if he is, then there's Nam as well. But otherwise, that's all you got. That's all you get. It's fine for what it is. I think it could have been its own game, really. You could have added a lot with that, but it was a very fun little type of mini game. It was fun to do. You use that mainly for the tournament parts of the story. There's the 21st and the 22nd. They, like I said, they don't do the 23rd, but they only do the first 2. But they were fun. They were fun to play. They were fun to go through. You stop at King Piccolo, and it was fine. It was fine. It was a very fun game. This one here, the Dragon Ball GT, the actual anime, has a lot of problems. A lot of people hate it. Now, I was there when Dragon Ball GT first aired in America, man. I was there for the very first airing, for the very first episode that they released in America. I was there watching it on cable TV. And, since I had just finished watching Dragon Ball Z, I was like, I just wanted more Dragon Ball, more! I didn't care what it was. And I watched this. And I thought it was fine. I was also younger, dumb, and yeah, as when I watched it as an adult, I also thought it was okay. I didn't really love it. I did have some nostalgia for certain parts of the story, like the Baby Saga. I thought that was pretty nice. I like the design for the Super Saiyan 3. I like that Trunks got to do stuff for the Black Star Dragon Ball Saga. Goten got a personality that separates him from Goku. That was great. I hate what they did with Piccolo and Vegeta. I like that Vegeta comes back for the final fight. I do like the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta design. I do like the fight with Omega Shenron. I do like the fight with Nova Shenron. But most of this story in GT was kind of blah. But since most people can agree that the Baby Saga was very fun, they do have this in this game. They have the Black Star Balls up to the Baby Saga as playable levels in here. They stop at Baby. They don't do Super 17 or the Shadow Dragon arcs, but they do have the first two major arcs. And the gameplay is different from this, but it's also different from these. It is a side-scroller beat-em-up. If you've played the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game at Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, if you played the Simpsons one, if you played the X-Men one, those are the big holy trinity of beat-em-ups, man. They're the holy trinity. If you had the Genesis, you would play the Comic Zone. You could play the all this stuff. They were fun side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and that's what this is. This is a very fun side-scrolling beat-em-up, and it's an amazing top form. You play mainly as Goku, Trunks, and Pan during the story. But then once you beat the story, you can play as other characters. You can play as Oob, you can play as Super Saiyan Goku, you can play as Super Saiyan 4 Goku, you can play as Piccolo, Super Saiyan Vegeta, or Baby Vegeta. I believe that's all the characters. I believe that's all of them. It's sad you don't get Super Saiyan Trunks, but you don't even get Gohan and Goten, but it's whatever. I'll take what I could get. You could use up to 3 characters in the storyline campaign, so I would pick Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and Piccolo. Those are the 3 I would use mainly, and they were fun to use. They were really fun. Their stats were different. They'd have all of them have a unique special attack, and it was fun to play. It was very fun to play. And I would say that this is a very excellent installment. If you hate GT, or if you just thought it was just okay, and you just wanted to think about what's a good GT game to play, this is it. This is it right here. This is it. This is the one you would want to play. It's excellent. So there you go. That's the Holy 5 of the Dragon Ball Game Boy Advance breakdown retrospective. I played the heck out of these. As a teenager or as a younger kid. I played the heck out of them. I played them until I wore out my Game Boy SP, and then I kept playing it until the Game Boy SP was all completely inoperable, so I would need another new SP in order to keep playing them. But they were very fun games. I've replayed them so many times. This is in painful need of a remake. This is a timeless classic. 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 So if otherwise, these 4 are fine, but this is definitely in need of a remake. I'm very nostalgic for it, though. I really love it, but it really, really, really needs a remake. Really, really does. There's like an unofficial one, a mod, if you will, that uses the graphics of these 2 games. I've never played it, but I think it exists somewhere. But I would like an official remake using these graphics of these 2 games, of this game. It would be awesome. Just bundle these 3 together and just remake them and give us that gameplay again. Give us that retro classic feel. It would be amazing to do. And it's just very fun and very imaginative. I don't know how to end these videos. I never know. So, whatever. Be imaginative.